Aurora sipped her black tea while looking out the window. She had dreamt of coming back to this place so many times. And now she was finally here, ready to rewrite her life and tell her story from the keyboard of her laptop. She placed the cup back on the table. Black tea. Why did they even call it that? It wasn't black at all. It was orange, almost golden. She had wondered about it 1,000 times, but never enough to look for an answer. For years she had drunk that unmistakable tea, the one she could never truly find back in Italy. They called it black tea, but to her it glowed with warm amber shades, bold and gentle at the same time, just like everything Scottish. Another question she had was why the pub where she sat now was called the Elephant House. Apart from a few decorations that vaguely hinted at Africa, they mostly served British tea and desserts packed with sugar, the kind you justify only in a place as cold as Edinburgh. Or maybe India made more sense. Tea, spices, the Indies, and suddenly the name didn't feel so strange anymore, at least in her head. She had always loved that place. Drawn there for the first time by the legend of J.K. Rowling, writing the early lines of Harry Potter at those very tables, she had fallen in love with the informal atmosphere. Free Wi-Fi for everyone, freedom to study, work, take a tea break, or even have lunch without anyone asking her to give up her seat. There weren't many tables, just a few chairs and small sofas, but somehow it was never completely full despite being so popular among tourists. What was full instead was the queue at rush hour, students lining up for cappuccinos or matcha lattes to go. And then the view. An entire wall of windows opening onto the ancient Edinburgh Castle, rising from its volcanic rock. How could a place, after all these years, still fill her with such emotion, such a proud, almost fiercely Scottish feeling? She couldn't say exactly why, but something about sitting there, typing with that landscape in front of her, transported her back to the Middle Ages, as if she had always been meant to write like this. Well, on parchment, with goose-feather quills, of course. Writing for her studies had always felt different from pouring her thoughts into her diary, something she still loved to do with pen and crisp paper, adding the occasional doodle or tiny heart, just like she used to in high school.